great game called by you recently.
Well, thank you.
I really enjoyed it. I don't even remember what it was. I just remember having
But you know what? Those are all. That's all. Yeah,
is it a muscle you like flexing? Calling games? You like that? Or you like?
I do so enjoy that.
He's
a lot
great
of work.
at it.
Thank you.
Also, some good news. Man, Nick Wright's wife, Danielle, she thinks you're...
That was supposed to come on television, CC.
Oh, we're doing research.
Okay.
We were talking about... That was family.
Now seems like a good time to move on.
Man, I'm just saying.
All right.
Hey, Sting, strange news coming out of Indianapolis, and I promise there's no better word to describe it. Andrew Luck was put on IR last week due to complications after surgery on his throwing shoulder, and former Colts head coach Tony Dungy isn't making things any easier. Dungy, talking with Dan Patrick, pointed out Jim Irsay's previous comments that Luck's injury was, quote, inside his head. Mark, how upset should Andrew Luck be with the Colts at this point?
Oh, I would be livid with the Colts. Livid. You cannot. First off, this is a guy who has stood in the gun barrel, faced the rush, gotten hit, left the game because of internal injuries internal organ injuries, for crying out loud.
No, tell the people what actually happened.
This is one of the toughest dudes.
He lacerated his spleen.
Yeah.
His kidney, I think.
His kidney, yeah. Lacerated his kidney.
Even more important than the spleen.
Right.
You can remove the spleen. Kidneys you need.
Right. You've got to have those things. So this is one of the toughest guys there is, and I would be livid. You know, it's interesting, too, because we always talk about minimally invasive surgeries and all the different things that we talk about. I was just out of back surgery, riding a bike in the training room, right? I'm riding a bike, and I don't have a shirt. I'm just in shorts, riding a bike, trying to get, my rehab going on. And a couple of doctors come in. There's a couple of different doctors from different areas that are coming in and checking out the Broncos facilities. And one doctor looks at my back and goes, wow, that's a really, they did a great job. That's a really nice scar. I said, yeah, as long as it's on my back, moron. It's a great scar, right? On your back, this scar sucks. And, when you start trying to put your finger on other people's pain and you try to start, that is just, it is completely inappropriate.
Now, how many surgeries have you had?
29. And for Andrew Luck, he's one of the toughest cats in football. And for his owner to come out there and say that, again, you take it with a grain of salt because it is Jim Irsay and he's got a history of saying stupid stuff, right? Just because you're a billionaire doesn't mean you're intelligent. He said a lot of stupid stuff over time. This is one of the dumbest things he's ever said.
I just want to remind the audience exactly what Jim Irsay said before the season. Quote, it's been said before, all sports is played on a 4-inch field between your ears. It's really important we continue to help Andrew emotionally, mentally, get his confidence and his endorsement deep down, his rubber stamp in his heart of hearts, because in the end, that carries the biggest weight. We heard that. We did 1 week of shows before we actually went on the air. The week before Labor Day were actual shows, but just no one saw them but us. They were rehearsal shows. That's when this came out.
Best, by the way.
Well, I thought we had talked about it on the air, but it was during the rehearsals. And at the time, I remember reading that, and I remember questioning, so maybe Luck is okay. Like, if I'm not there, I have no reason to think Irsay is going to just, all of a sudden blindside his quarterback. Like, maybe Luck is at 90%.
But I think it's not being fair to Andrew Luck in that, and this is to your point, what you say all the time, like, he doesn't need confidence. He doesn't need emotional endorsements. He doesn't need a pat on the back. Like, all this kid wants to do is play football.
Oh, yeah.
And for you to deny...
Andrew Luck is a throwback player.
For you to deny him, like, any justice whatsoever in faking it or wanting to stay out or thinking that it's anything other than I physically can't play football, he would play through all of it.
That's my point.
Absolutely.
It seeded doubt in my mind.
Of course.
Because I'm not there. I'm like, well, if the owner's saying this, they must think Andrew's at 90%. They think he can play at 90%, and he thinks he needs to get to 100%. Turns out he was at 0%.
Right.
Because he hasn't played all year and won't play all year. And this is the question I have for you, CC, because you know Luck, you know the family, you've talked about the type of person he is. Are we now to a point where Andrew Luck's disposition, which is a positive as far as the type of human being he is potentially damaging his career? That if he were a guy who maybe a couple years ago was more outspoken about the mismanagement in the front office, mismanagement with the coach, if he was a guy that after this was said, he called his own press conference the way a lot of athletes would and said, I want to say something about what the situation laid out. I hurt myself in 2015. I played through it. I played through it in 2016. And you've told me that's not who he is.
Yes.
Is that hurting him now?
I don't believe it's going to hurt Andrew because Andrew is still a special talent. But the thing that I keep trying to tell you guys, we, as even the elite athletes, we are subject to a system, a business that's run around us. Not only just the players on the field, the coaches, he hadn't been supported in the right way, and he definitely hadn't been supported in the front office. Now, I'm just going to speak for former NFL players. There's a lot of things you might be able to call us, but trying to get away with calling us not being tough is not something you're going to get. Now, you might have some wide receivers. They don't care. You might have some DBs. They don't care. But the great percentage of NFL players, if you say, what is the one attribute that you have that separates you from other human beings? It's say, man, I got it. I got it right in here, and it transfers up to right here. I'm tough. All right? I went through 16 NFL seasons. Look, I would debate a person till death how tough I am. I believe I'm tougher than the next man. That is one of the characteristics that we have as NFL players. I can do this longer than you're willing to do this. I'm willing to knock you back more plays than you're willing to knock me back. So those types of insults, to me, I believe will cause damage to Andrew Luck and the relationship that he has with the Colts, because there's no way that Andrew, and Andrew's a great pro, he is a great person, that the Colts are going to be able to misrepresent him the way he's put his body on the line for this organization, that their relationship could still be the same.
You know what the nastiest word in football is? I mean, literally, the worst four-letter word in football is soft. Yeah.
I thought it was soft.
It's soft. And
I thought it was soap.
Look at, no, right, no. Yeah, you were off. You were close. It was an S word. You call people soft. Listen, the softest guy that plays in the NFL is 10 times tougher than the toughest guy walking down the street. That's just the way it is, man. You have got to have you got to have some mental toughness. You got to have physical toughness. You have to have all those things. And when you do that from an ownership standpoint, every guy in that locker room understands what Andrew Luck has done, how tough he has been, what he has fought through. Every one of those guys in that locker room look at Jim Irsay and just shake their head.
Does anyone see a situation whereby this ends with Andrew Luck being successful for the Colts, getting back out there, being healthy, playing super well, and getting this team to the playoffs? Is there a scenario whereby this ends well?
Because guys will go out there, guys play with chips on their shoulders. So you'll go out there, you'll play for your teammates, you'll like whatever that do. Peyton Manning did it forever. This is not new to Jim Irsay. This has happened before. And, I mean, that's the way great players go about their business. It's going to be uncomfortable, but if this doesn't end in a trade, which let me just tell you right now, there are 20 teams lined up begging for this relationship to break down to the point where the Indianapolis Colts have to trade him, because they will all be there with gigantic offers.
Well, that's the point that I was making, or at least alluding to with Chris, that it is not Luck's personality. But he would certainly have the disposition he would certainly have the justification, to force the issue. To, after these comments are made, after another season is lost, come out and say, I don't want to play for this franchise anymore. This coming year is the first year cap-wise they actually could trade him without ruining their salary cap. You could get multiple first-round picks, and Luck could really make it uncomfortable for people in Indianapolis. And his case would be a simple one. Hey, guess what? Since I came in the league, what quarterback's been hit the most? Me. Who averages the most hits per game? Me. My first year in the league, who took the most hits? Me. Second year, me. Third year, me. Fourth year, it wasn't me because I was injured. Fifth year, me again. I'm hit more than everybody. I keep my mouth shut. I've been the only good player on this, one of the only good players on this team for a long time. And you guys are out here defaming my name, making idiots like Nick Wright question how good I actually am when I've been playing with a bad shoulder for 3 years. I'd be furious if I were.
Andrew Luck has the type of sports character that I would say like a kid who I helped raise in Larry Fitzgerald. And I'm going to tell you, for a long time behind the scenes, I tried to get Larry out of Arizona. Man, you need to leave there. Man, that place not good for you. They're going to ruin your career. No one's paying attention. I used to tell them, you're not even in the real NFL. We don't even cover you. We don't even do stories you. We don't even send reporters to you. But Larry was like, man, this is where I want to be. This organization, I'm committed to them. I'm committed to this community. So when he began to say that, I began to support him there. But in that situation, I was telling him, Larry, you need to go somewhere else. Andrew Luck has the same type of character. Andrew Luck will stay in Indianapolis. He will make them a winner. Andrew Luck is committed to putting a banner in the rafters in Indianapolis, and I'm not talking about AFC divisional games, the one they put up there last year.
Mark, stick around. Coming up.
That's good.
So
that's good.
Would a mutual breakup between Eli and the Giants be best for both parties? Is a breakup really ever mutual? That is next.
Sure.
On First
Oh,
and
yeah,
Third. Let's just be
absolutely.
friends.
Absolutely.
We can be friends.
Yeah, after they leave.